All right, what is up, League? Race for the Dungy, Year 10. Welcome to the much requested, as in Bullet requested it. Maybe it had one like. The much requested playoff breakdown video. We are here through week 12. Only 1 week to go in the regular season, and playoffs are starting to take shape. We're right down to the wire. We got some interesting battles to look forward to the final week. So before we dive into these standings, let me welcome in my co-host for this breakdown.
Yeah, thanks, Al. So
Al.
anyway, here I am. It's your former commissioner and the league shit team of the year. We got some
Shot.
great matchups coming. This is a microphone. We got great matchups coming. I honestly couldn't tell you. I've been so out of it since like week 3, so I haven't really been following. I've been setting my lineup at least, and I did beat Brendan, upset of the year. Get wrecked, but really looking. I'm not gonna let that disparage my intensity and my love and passion for the league and the grit and the drive and the playoff push. So Rick, why don't we get into this and see where we stand
Yeah.
as a
So,
league?
well, what do you think's going wrong for you this year? 2-10, least points scored in the league. Were you feeling pretty good after the draft?
I was feeling relatively good after the draft. I have had some injuries. I'm not going to say that I'm bad because I have injuries because you don't lose. You don't accidentally lose 10 games. I do have owned the league's all-time best record. Looks like it will stand another year at 12-2.
Does look like it will
So
stand.
thank you very much, everyone, for giving me that at least
Best record of the decade.
of
Decade 1.
of the millennium. Um, uh, you know, I made some ballsy decisions. Um, Players that I took pretty high, a la Kenyon Drake, didn't work out very well for me. Dolphins didn't work out very well. Drew Brees got hurt right away. I dropped him. In retrospect, not the best idea, but Jimmy G backing him up anyway. I didn't actually lucked out pretty well. Got that trade right there. Um, honestly, I take full responsibility. It's coaching. The players you put in. I left a lot of freaking points on the bench this year, and year after year, I continuously prove myself as one of the worst lineup setting coaches in the league. I was lucky last year to make
Well,
it
yeah.
all the way to
So,
the final, but
last question about your team. How you feel going into these Sacco playoffs? You're gonna have a first round bye.
I'm gonna have a
That's all
bye.
locked up.
First bye I've ever had, and we are going to. I don't want to toot my own horn, but I think I might accidentally squeak out a win if Tyreek Hill can somehow A, not get hurt every week, and B, some of my players can round out into form, and I think I might squeak out a win. I'm not expecting to be the Sacco this year. It seems like in our league history, it's not really common that whoever's worst automatically gets Sacco, but let's see. I just got to see what happens.
All right. So let's get into these standings. We'll start with the division we're both in.
Okay.
Brendan O'Boyle, going into the year, he was the 4 seed in our division based on those dynasty rankings we know and love.
Yeah.
Brendan is flying away with the division. He's already locked it up. All the divisions are already locked up, which is very interesting going into this final week. So Brendan's sitting at 9-3. He was 9-2 until you got him. It's been a good year. Let's look at Brendan's roster real quick. Brendan's MVPs for the season. Well, he drafted Matt Stafford, as we all remember, which we all expected.
Classic.
And
Would not be another year without that.
it's worked out for him so far. He's got Kyler Murray. Who the hell is it? Oh, he's playing me this week.
Rick doesn't know how to use a computer.
Kyler Murray, Michael Thomas, obviously huge. Travis Kelce.
He's going with the 2 tight end set this week.
Yeah, how about that? We don't see that
Interesting.
often.
We do not see that
Kelce and
often.
Hunter Henry. Excuse me, suiting up. And so Brennan's had a good year. Second place, I'm in second. And as many of you know, I'm on a very long playoff drought. It's probably the longest in the league. I don't know if anyone's had a longer playoff drought than me.
I don't think so.
I don't have it up right now, but it's probably since year 3 or year 4 of this league since I last made the playoffs. So I'm sitting at 7-5. And yeah, let's start to talk about some of these scenarios going in, because as we said, all the divisions are locked up. It's Brendan. Nick's winning his division. which is Carter's division, and then Dan is defending his home turf in his division at 9-3. As it stands right now, Nick is in first in the whole league. He's got a 29-point lead on Brendan for that number 1 seed, and Dan is way behind in points for. So, if Dan wants a bye, he's gonna have to get a loss from Brendan or Nick. Brendan's facing me, and Nick's up against Jude. So it might be tough for either of them to lose. So that's the battle for the 1 seed. We've got some interesting battles for the 2 seed. Right now, the wild card spots. As it stands right now, me and Bless are tied at 7-5, and then we have a tie with Carter and Kev at 6-6. So right now, Kev only has a 6-point lead on Carter for that wild card spot. So everything to play for in this last game. Everything to play for.
I might just rest my team, honestly.
Against who?
I might just bench him and then just
Against Josh.
rest up for the Sackers.
It's a valid strategy.
Then we get 2 weeks off. Come back nice and rested for the Sacker semis. Aren't there 3? Don't 3 wild cards go in?
3 wild cards, yeah.
Okay.
So Kev is up against Nate. Nate's had a 4-8 season, very up and down. He's third to last as it stands right now. And Kev needs a win. Carter needs a win as well, but they can potentially get in with a loss. That's how this is all going to shake out. Carter's going against Bob, who's 5-7. Bob needs a miracle to stay in. Bob has a lot of points for, I know. If Bob wins and Kev loses, Bob has a chance for that last spot.
Look at that 50-50, man. They're projected within tenths of a point.
Yeah, and that's with Mason Rudolph starting. He's only projected for 0.4 points against the Cleveland Browns. So Bob can have a bigger than 50-50 advantage. If he puts in Pat Mahomes, he'll have a much bigger than 50-50 chance to win. That would make me feel good because here's my scenario.
No collusion talk.
My scenario is that I'm 7-5. I've locked up my first winning season, which feels great in a long time. And but I'm not a lock for the playoffs.
No,
I've
you'll
gotta.
Choke. I'll choke.
Well, if I win, I'm good. If I can beat Brendan, I'm good. But right now, I'm a 39% underdog.
I'll see you in the Sacker final.
God, I hope not. If I lose, and Kev and Carter both win, then I'm out because they've got the advantage on me in points for. And they're both. I don't know. Here's one thing. I've learned this betting on parlays in my life. If you got 2 favorites, there's no way they both win. Even if Carter and Kev are both favored, there's no way it happens. So I'm feeling pretty good that I'm going to be able to slide into the playoffs. But there is a chance that I will miss out, which,
High chance.
God, I would be very pissed. Not that high.
Pretty high.
No, because Kev's right now a 55% favorite.
Astronomically high.
And Carter's a 50% before Mahomes is inserted into Bob's roster. So we'll see. We shall see. Let's just look at the rest of the standings. Anyone else we have to talk about? Josh in our division. Josh not had a good year. And that's even after being gifted Devontae Adams, the number 1 overall pick.
If I beat Josh and beat him by 90 points-ish, 85 points-ish,
then you won't be the bottom seed.
then I will get a bye. I'll
You'll
still get
have
a
bye.
But, like they say,
But it'll be the
positioning,
11 seed instead of the 12 seed.
positioning is everything. So.
Let's look at Nick. How about the season Nick's had? 9-3. Top of the league in points for.
Here's a guy who...
Here's a guy
who is historically bad and historically great, And he's fitting that bill right there at the top.
Yeah, Nick's pretty much boomer bust when it comes to fantasy, I think we can say. He has 1 championship to his name. I'm pretty sure he won the sack of the year after he won the championship.
Yeah, he went first to worst.
First to worst. So Nick's team, Russell Wilson, obviously the MVP. Leonard Fournette, Derrick Henry, they've had pretty good years. Godwin.
Gosh.
I mean, it seems like anyone who I talk to, anyone I know who's in a fantasy league, like, if you have Godwin, you're pretty much winning your league because you got him, like, 5th, 6th round or whatever.
Yeah.
As long as the rest of your team isn't trash.
We are.
So he's got some great wide receivers, Godwin, Hopkins.
Henry and
Solid
Fournette.
roster.
That's gross.
Solid roster. We'll see if Nick can make a run at his second title. He's facing Jude this week. Jude's 5-7. Not quite out of it, but damn, that loss to Bob hurt last week. He's gonna need a lot of help. A lot of help. But 5-7 by Jude standards, I'm not sure if we can talk too much shit about that, given some of the performances we've seen from our bottom-ranked dynasty owner in the past.
Why did they change his name to Delco Degenerates?
Delco Degenerates? I don't know. Jude, care to comment? It's not a bad name.
That's new.
I'm a fan.
Isn't it?
I think he changed it this season. I'm pretty sure he did. How's the new era going?
I will repeat what I
Do
said
we need
before.
do we need a new era?
A new era does
New era
not
2.0.
mean a good era, okay?
Well,
it means
that's
new,
the goal.
which is true because last year I was in the final, got that runner-up, and this is new. This is new. I'm in last. I've never been in last before, so new. Where's the lie?
It is accurate.
Where's the lie?
Last division to look at, we've got Bullet 9-3. He's winning his division, and it's kind of
Rosquam.
I mean, I think we can agree that Bullet's not as good this year as many expected.
Yeah, now
The
here's a guy who
Kamara-
loves to shit talk to be the base in the league, and dude's not even going to be the 1 seed, so like, what are you going to do?
Yeah, the Kamara Barkley connection isn't exactly the 1-2 punch that it seemed like it would be. But I mean, now he has Lamar Jackson, so he's probably the favorite to win it all.
Now,
Thanks, Bob.
Now here's a guy, Bob, whose season maybe would have been saved if he would have, gotten do you remember the conundrum at the beginning of the year?
Yeah, we don't need to go into
It's
that.
interesting to think what would have been.
Well, Bob's in that
had-
tough spot where he's got
Had Devontae Adams gone.
Bob has a lot of points for. It looks like he's the third most points for in the league, yet he's sitting at 5-7, a position that I've found myself in many times, and I always like to talk about it. I've always been very unlucky when it comes to points against, so that's why I feel like this year it's even itself out. I might sneak in the playoffs with a team that's not even that good. So Bob still has a chance if he can win this week, but no, it's not been his year, you could say, from start to finish, starting in the off season.
Agreed.
I'm sorry, Bob. Okay. Rest of Dan's division. Bless, as you were saying, Bless has flown under the radar, just quietly 7-5. Pretty good team. He looks like a lock for the playoffs. I mean, because he's got a good amount of points scored. He would need to have a very bad week. I think he would have to lose to Dan, which is possible. He would need me to win, Kev to win, Carter to win, and all of us to win big. And Bless to not score many points. He would need a big upset for Bless to miss the playoffs. So he's a virtual lock. Lastly, Nate, you're sitting at 4-8. Kind of an on-brand season. No surprises in there. But I don't know. Nate's team's not too bad. I don't expect to sack a title out of Nate this year. Kev at 6-6. Kev, he's trying to make the playoffs for the first time. He's got a shot.
That'd be big.
He's got a shot. All he has to do is beat Nate, and he's got a very good shot at it. We'll see. It's all up to you, Kev. He's not allowed to make any garbage trades before this final game because the trade deadline is fortunately passed for Eifert Tower, so he's not allowed to throw his season away by trading his first, second, third round picks for I don't even remember who. Aaron Rodgers? Yeah, okay. Oh, well, history will tell. He went win now. He thought he had a win now roster. So that's how it's shaping up right now. Let's just take a look at the matchups this week one more time. I expect, for the record, get back into it this year. Got to have the spreadsheet up, the live spreadsheet updated with the live odds. I'll get that all set up. Only thing is I got to fly back to Boston on Sunday. So it will be...
Games start Thursday, man.
Yeah, games start Thursday. That'll be all updated after Thanksgiving. And I'll update it as much as I can on Sunday as we're looking at those odds live. So, one more time through the matchups. Me versus Brandon. A win and I'm in. What do you- Care to share what you're looking at?
I'm just looking at its holes versus fags this week.
Yeah.
It's just kind of funny. All right. Also, we got snatch.
Schwam,
Schwam.
Ife, Holes, Fags, Snatch. Team 12.
Rough.
It was rough. Where's that?
No, never mind. Never mind.
That bombed. Okay. Me versus Brennan. Brennan's got the division locked up. If with a win, he's got the bye. If he loses, he might be the 3 seed and have to play in the wild card round, week 14. God, I hope I win, but it's not looking good. My team's got horrible matchups. Beckham's against the Steelers, Galladay's against the Bears, Kittle's against Baltimore, Gallup's against Buffalo. This is like the murderer's row of best defenses in the NFL. Duke Johnson against New England. I need Breeze to get like 50 points against Atlanta on Thanksgiving night. Brennan's got that solid roster where, of course, he's got Michael Thomas, so every time Breeze completes a pass, I'm just going to be losing.
Yeah.
So,
Shame.
it's going to be tough. Bullet going for a 10-3 year up against Bless. Bless guarantees this game's not too important. Bullet needs to win and hope that Brendan or Nick lose to get a playoff bye. Bless is pretty much locked in a wild card spot. He needs a disaster to miss the playoffs, but it could happen. Could happen.
Yeah.
So still an important matchup. Ife versus Schwam. We got Kev looking like a slight favorite right now, 55-45. And yeah, Nate has nothing to play for. He's going to be in the Sacco playoffs, but he can
But he won't have a
he can
bye.
invite Kev to join him there with a win. He'll lock Kev in for the Sacco. And Kev, if Kev wins, he's not guaranteed a playoff spot. But it'll be looking good. He would just need either me or Carter to lose. Or Bless by a decent amount. Yeah, Kev going for that first playoff appearance. Then we got Carter versus Bob, we've talked about. Bob needs a win and some help. Carter needs a win and just a little bit of help. And that'll be an interesting matchup. Deshaun Watson's against New England. That's tough.
Yeah.
That game's in Sunday Night Football. It's going to all come down to that. And,
Yeah, it's the last.
any other interesting matchups? Carter's had the 49ers D doing well for him this year, but he's got to face Lamar Jackson. So that's a tough matchup for sure. Keep it going. We got Nick, big favorite against Jude right now. Are there any points left on the bench in this one? Doesn't look like it unless he wants to throw. Daniel Jones or Keenan Allen in there. Keenan Allen can play.
Collusion.
Phil's secretary. Great name. I wonder if Phil heard that upstairs. Nick just needs that win. With a win, it should be the number 1 seed unless Brendan puts up an insane amount of points. So how about that? Who would have predicted that week 1? Nick Whalen,
Not me.
our leader going into the playoffs. But as we say, how often does home field advantage guarantee you a Dungey championship?
No, very rarely.
Very rarely. It's usually a dark horse, and that's why you just got to get in the playoffs. You just got to get in. Nick's favored 64-36 against Jude, and Jude needs a win and a lot of help to make it in. Last matchup, the Toilet Bowl. It's probably not the one we wanted to end on, but hey, maybe it's a Sacco preview.
It probably will.
Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. The name is in memoriam to his great quarterback. But Dak Prescott's taking over the reins now. Garoppolo's only projected for 13 against Baltimore. It seems low. He should hit that.
Yeah.
So that's projected 79-72. Should be fun. So on that note, hope you guys enjoyed this little breakdown. Coming at 20 minutes, damn.
Yeah.
Some of you will watch this, some of you won't. Whatever. Just a little bit of content, heating it up before the playoffs. And let's have some fun. Year 10, playoff push. Who will take the title of the Dungey? It'll be fun to find out. And happy Thanksgiving to all you lads. Likely going to run into some of you tonight as we're getting reckless in Media PA. So on that note, I'm your commissioner, Richard L. Vogler.
I'm the worst team
your
in the
former
league.
commissioner, worst team in the league. #new era. Daniel Skodlowski. We will be chatting with you guys soon.
All right, I'm gonna fuck with you.